I'm Nathan Judah, I am your host and dad. This is the son. It is Mr. Liam Keane, Wolverhampton Wanderers reporter. Liam, it's day 4. Welcome, Wolverhampton Wanderers. And look, quicker training session today. Afternoon training session, a little bit cooler, more of a slower pace and more tactical.
I just realised we wore the same t-shirt.
I was going to say we do look a little bit farther than
that was not deliberate, I can promise you. Oh no, don't do that. Yeah, definitely. Look, we were here as they went through their sort of warm up and drills, just to get the feet moving and just get a little bit of a sweat on. Not that that's difficult in these temperatures. Another hot one today, despite what started about 5ish this afternoon. Yeah, exactly, of course. And then Gary pulls everyone in, quick little huddle meeting on the pitch. And the one line that sort of stuck out was today's session is basically going to be a team meeting, but on the pitch. It's very much, tempo, not right at the top, not up
breaking
here.
Things down a little more.
Breaking it down a bit more, using your brain a little bit more. Obviously, you've got to have get a little bit of sweat on, get your feet moving, and as I said, you will do this in these temperatures. But considering yesterday they went through rigorous running, it was a grueling session. A bit more lighted today, which I think was needed really, because you have to have that balance.
You've got to have the balance, and like you say, in the previous days it's been very physical, and it was definitely mental today. But there were still some very interesting set piece manoeuvres, and we talk about maybe Wolves haven't taken advantage of that with their height, with some of the players that they've got in previous seasons. But you bring in someone like Larson as your number 9, and all of a sudden a focal point of getting the ball into the mixer with your 3 centre backs, with Cunha. There's height there, and it was very interesting to see how they used the ball today.
We've always said, haven't we, last couple of seasons, that Totti, Dawson and Kilman probably should have scored more from set pieces. At the other end of the pitch, as you mentioned, we've now got Jürgen Strand Larson at 6'4". We've spoken about him a little bit on the podcast and other videos. Big lad, but good with his feet. But what he does add, because of his size and his stature and his presence that he brings in the box, he brings a little bit of a different dynamic to Wolves' forward line. Now, they might go into the Arsenal game and they might start a front 3 of, Neto, Hwang and Cunha, and Larson might be on the bench. But you've got options there, whether it's from the bench from the start. It's just a different kind of thing, really, for the opposition defenders to think about. Look at Raul Jimenez when he was in his pomp, really, at Wolves. How many headed goals did he get?
Sure.
Wolves have missed that added aerial threat, I think, for quite some time. And Larson is really, we hope, we will see, but we hope the answer to Wolves' struggles at number 9, really since Jimenez's injury. And that's not just aerial threat, that'll be across the board. Wolves need a focal point, and hopefully he'll be the man. As you say, we saw a lot of these set piece drills. Tommy Doyle whipping the ball and Podence whipping the ball, and a couple of lovely deliveries from Podence actually. And looking for angles. It might start out from a corner, be a direct corner in swinger. Sometimes if it's going to be an out swinging corner, it will come out wide. Then Podence will whip it in from a sort of more slightly less tight angle. Occasionally it will then go back to the corner taker again. He'll whip it in again. So just finding different angles and different ways for the defenders to attack the ball. And there was one moment Matt Doherty scored an absolute peach. Ball coming over, almost over his shoulder, and he turns onto it, volley, bottom corner, lovely.
Yeah, you talk about the delivery, and Tommy Doyle was there on the right hand side for Dent, and it was Rodrigo Gomez and Hugo Bueno. They're both similar in stature, so they do look quite alike from a distance.
You're struggling to remember who's who.
It's interesting, but again, anything to read in there in Rodrigo Gomez? We've obviously seen him play on the left quite a lot so far this trip. Yeah,
we had, and I won't give away too much from our exclusive interview with Rodrigo, which will be coming very soon. But he did speak about the fact that yes, he played a lot on both sides, probably a bit more on the right last season, which we spoke about in our previous videos as well, and that he has been playing on the left a lot so far in training. Again, not a game scenario, but training. And he seems to prefer that. He's right-footed, cuts in on that right foot. We know that Gary likes inverted wide players, so it's starting to seem like we're going to see Rodrigo Gomez on the left rather than the right, and that'll be intriguing to how Wolves are going to set up once the Premier League does start to get underway.
Yeah, look, I mean, it depends on what formation they play as well.
Exactly.
I mean, Ryan might have something to say about that. So would Pedro Neto. Look, I think it's a fluid situation, and of course, when these guys come back from Portugal, they're going to join some point in the USA. It'll be interesting to see if Rodrigo Gomez goes across the other side, but I think it's very important, especially now when there is, to plug a few gaps to see what he can do on that left hand side. So yeah, definitely one to watch. Another one to watch is a player who I think a lot of fans have been interested in because they haven't seen too much of him, but their memories, albeit a while ago now, were very sweet, and that's Chiquinho.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking 2022 really, aren't we? With his breakthrough, would you call it that, I suppose?
I think the potential was definitely there.
Yeah.
Exciting potential we saw when Wolves were really struggling at Chelsea. He came in at, I think it was almost a right wing back, I think, at times.
Yes, he was.
A couple of assists, so there was definitely talent. Then it hasn't quite happened for him, injury and then a few different clubs and a loan, but he's back here. And I think both of us has been pretty impressed with not just himself on the ball, but also his physique. He looks like he's put on a couple of pounds, got a bit of muscle. He looks like a bloke now. Yeah,
I agree with that. Completely agree with that. And alongside it, there's the obvious quality there, isn't there? He is a good footballer who I think, especially the way that we're expecting Wolves to play, and obviously we'll know more hopefully with the Como friendly on Monday and other friendlies to come, but the way we're expecting Wolves to play, I think he would fit into the system as an option. Don't get me wrong, I don't think he's going to start in the Premier League for Wolves straight away if he was to stay, but I think he would fit in as a good squad option, and I think it just deepens the options available to Gary O'Neill. Again, it's similar to the Badence situation. Does he want to be here? Does he want to go elsewhere? Is he going to get on with Gary? I don't think Chiquinho's ever really, as far as I'm aware, expressed a desire not to be here, but it's about fitting in with the dynamic and the group. And he went to Stoke very briefly on loan last season in August, played I think only 3 or 4 games, fell out with Alex Neil, who was the manager at the time, very, very quickly, and all of a sudden he was pulled out of that, and before the window closed, sent over to Portugal. He did fairly well in Portugal, but he needs to fit in with what Gary wants from the group. He needs to, I suppose, be relatively humble in his approach, because these are the kind of characters Gary wants around the team, really, players who are going to not cause any issues. So if he can tick those boxes, I think there's a player there who can be part of the squad. But it's a big if, and him as well as Podence, I think, are the 2 major decisions to make for that particular problem. Yeah, look, he's young, he's fit. He's obviously, really bad injury as well. Yeah, so he's lost a lot of time there. So that's very frustrating for him. And he comes into this squad, and I think a happier squad. I think a more together squad. And look, completely different to what he was in 2022. So Gary O'Neill will be having his first look at him as well. And it's probably one of those where you've got to sit down along with the likes of Daniel Podence, as you mentioned, and maybe Yerson Mosquera, and see where do you see this situation? Where do you see this season? Do you want to be here? Because as you say, absolutely nail on the head, is that squad depth is very important, and you have a Chiquinho coming off your bench or in and around who's motivated, and I think that can only be a plus. And there's a third party involved here as well. This is what the club want as well, because Gary has a say, of course he does. He's the head coach, but head coach is the title. Sure. He focuses on the football. He gets involved in recruitment, and he certainly has a say. But if Wolves get an offer they think is a good offer, and they would like to let Chiquinho move on, then more likely than not he will move on, because the club will make a decision that they think is best for them financially, and I suppose there would be some football opinion to that as well. So if the club are happy for him to stay, if Chiquinho's happy to stay and is willing to do what Gary wants, and if Gary wants him around the team that thinks he can bring something to the side, if those 3 things come together, he's a Wolves player. But you probably need all 3, to be honest. I don't think you can miss out on any of them. Absolutely, I completely agree. And yet, an early box for me has been ticked because obviously ability-wise, he looks pretty good. Yeah. And also, he's here. He's on the flight. Correct. Other players are not. Guedes, Fabio Silva, and you feel that Chiquinho might have been in that group of, look, you're going to find a club that's not working. If he didn't want to be here, if he didn't want to give it a go, if he wanted to try, get his fitness up, so at least he's here. And like I say, we like him. I know a lot of the fans like him, would like to see more of him, but ultimately it will be to the higher powers that be, whether he stays at the club as well. Exactly that, yeah. I think if you get all 3, that's a Wolves player. But you just can't be without all 3 of them. If you lose one of those, if Gary wants him and the club wants him, and then the player doesn't want to be here, unfortunately player power is very strong in modern football, as we all know. So as I say, from a tactical point of view, forgetting him as a person, I think there's a player that fits into what Wolves are trying to do, and at his age and the experience he's managed to pick over the last couple of years, regardless of the injury, although in many ways the injury could help him with a little bit of resilience. And if he has a little bit of luck, then I think there's a player who could do well here. He scored goals, got a few assists in Portugal. It's not the Premier League, but it's a good league, and it'd be a really interesting one to keep an eye on.
So schedule-wise, going forward between now and the end of the trip.
Yes.
Obviously, the players had a nice little meal last night out.
They did.
They got to venture out. Their 45-minute session today, so a lighter session today, but straight back in with a double tomorrow.
Straight back in with a double. I think morning and evening sessions going to be a tough one, and that's leading up to the Como game on Monday. So it makes sense they're going to have, two, I imagine, relatively grueling sessions tomorrow, or certainly there'll be a lot of tactics involved as well heading into the game. And then Monday morning we're expecting to be free before an evening game against Como, who are signing everyone under the sun at the moment, aren't they? We're really looking forward to that. I think it's going to be around here somewhere on a pitch. I think hopefully a little bit of a change of scenery to give them a match day feel, especially you can obviously without it being over at Molineux. Should be a good game. I'm looking forward to seeing them play for the first time in a long time.
Monday morning, could you be sleeping off a little hangover?
I hope I am, because we all know what's going on Sunday night. Is it coming home?
I mean, look at our predictions in the Express and Saturday.
There you go.
It's coming home. We'll see you soon.